Before we start, I would like to just make a small organizational note. Today's session will be around 45 to 50 minutes because, as many of you know, we have recently become one family with the Top Rated Club, and they have also their community event starting in an hour. And we're currently using the same Zoom account. So while we're syncing processes, and so yeah, today will run on time and move smoothly. So thank you guys in advance for being flexible and understanding. And now I'm also very excited. Our today's guest, one of the successful and loyal GigRadar client, Gavin, also is the founder of Inbox Agency, a Klaviyo email and SMS marketing expert, and is also a top-rated plus freelancer on Upwork. And he works with e-commerce brands, helping them grow revenue through retention and strong messaging. And today, Gavin is going to share his tactics and on getting unlimited clients on Upwork. So I hope today's event will bring many insights. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll review them once Gavin finishes his speech. So yeah, Gavin, please welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So guys, awesome. Thank you for coming. Just to give a bit of context, I'll give you like a lay of the land for my business and kind of the numbers I was doing before joining GigRadar and using Upwork as like a really viable tool for my business, and then kind of where we're at now, which is, really it's come about, I think we've been using you guys for about 2 years now at this point, and I've made like a bunch of content about how I use the tool and how it works. But a little bit of lay of the land. So I do, yep, correct. I run an email and SMS marketing agency. At the time of recording, we have 10 full-time staff. We did about in revenue USD about 77,000, maybe $80,000 last month in revenue. And, I'm based in Mexico City, so I work predominantly with businesses in the US, Canada, few in Australia and New Zealand, just wherever the time zone really suits. So, that's where I'm at now. I think, before, starting GigRadar, we were doing about $10,000 to $15,000 a month in revenue. And our major traffic sources, and it's probably similar for a lot of you guys who are freelancers or just starting out as business owners, the biggest traffic sources for us was referrals, networking events, and just trying to maybe a little bit of cold outreach here and there. But basically getting leads in a very unpredictable way, right? And so referrals is, getting leads in a way that you're just, you're praying that somebody's going to come in and hopefully knock on your door and be like, hey, Jenny sent me, I'd love to work together. That's where the majority of our work was coming from. And what made it really hard to grow our business is that unpredictable nature, right? The inability to be like, okay, I know, in the next month I can predictably get on 3 or 4 more sales calls. I'll close about 20 to 50% of them, and then we'll have more work coming in. It made it really hard to build a team. It made it really hard to, guarantee my employees like consistent work as well, right? Because I can't say to them like, hey, I'll have 20 hours for you this week, 10 hours for you this week, the next week. It's just not stable, and you end up having crappy, no offense, but like people who just aren't really good at their job because the good people want consistency. The good people want like a stability and a good salary, and it just made it hard to do that. So we was in like a tough position. I was constantly trying to figure out how to get leads. I was sending cold emails, making a lot of YouTube videos, and I recommend people still do that. But I thought about Upwork, right? And I got to the stage where I was like, you know what? Like, I've hired a lot of people off of Upwork. I see there's other, in my case, email and SMS marketers on Upwork for e-commerce, and like I feel like I'm better than them. But one of the issues that we had was just time, right? And so many of us who are probably like in this meeting right now, the scarcest resource we have is time. And I just didn't have time to literally go through these jobs, manually write proposals and reach out. And I tried. Like I would try and do like 10 a day. And that would take me, God, it would take me like an hour sometimes just to get through those. And like when you're running a business, like you want to be focusing on the other core fundamentals, right? Which is systems and ops, and yep, sales and marketing. But there's more effective ways to do sales and marketing than just reaching out to people manually via Upwork. So I was, constantly in this loop. And apologies if there's a little bit of background noise at the moment, but I was in this constant loop of just like God, wasting time. And so I thought there's got to be a quicker way. And so that's when somebody reached out to me, seeing that I was on Upwork, and actually offered to set GigRadar up for me. And I'm going to go through my process of like how I built up my profile to make sure GigRadar works, because GigRadar is a great tool, but it's not going to work if your profile is not good, if you're not like approaching it with like well, intelligently. And I'll tell you how I would recommend structuring it. But we gradually started using GigRadar, gradually started ramping up the outreach, gradually started getting more and more and more clients, to the point now where, like at the time of recording, I think we've done about 150,000 US on the platform, and a lot more off of the platform from clients from Upwork. Um, I will say, like, probably I'm a little greedy. I probably wouldn't recommend taking it off the platform, but I've done that. And I'll explain that in a little bit in a second. But at this point now, I think, like, looking at my screen here, we're applying for about 60 to 70 jobs every single week. We're getting about 15 replies, maybe 15 to 20 replies, and then about from that, an extra maybe 5 to 10 meetings booked, and then closing, 20% of those. And the great thing is, like, it's predictable at this point. And that's like one of the big things I think we all kind of need if we're trying to grow a business, or even just like, survive off of like our freelancing journeys, that you need to be able to have security and predictability. And that's what like this tool has allowed my business to have, to the point now where like I probably spend maybe 5 minutes a day checking Upwork and sending messages. Everything else just runs in the background. Get on calls, of course. I'm on sales calls and stuff like that, but it's largely automated. And so I think GigRadar has absolutely been like a massive part of getting the work off of Upwork to get that money into the accounts, then reinvest it back into the business, hire those better employees, start producing more video content, and just keep letting it run. Before I go on, does anybody have any questions? Does that all kind of make sense? And then if you do have questions, I'm more than happy to answer those now, and I can kind of dovetail into how I'd recommend actually, or how I set up the account. And if not, that's no problem. I'll just kind of keep an eye on the chat here. Alrighty, crickets. I love it. So basically, um, cool. I will talk about, how I approached using GigRadar and how it's worked for me. So the first thing you guys have to keep in mind, at least from my experience, is that GigRadar is essentially allowing you to put your profile in front of more people more aggressively and more consistently. It means more people are gonna see you, but that still means they're looking at the same profile. So it's not gonna change what your profile looks like. It's not gonna change, um, you know, it's basically, if you've got a gem, it's gonna put that gem in front of more people, and more people are gonna take it. But if you've got like something worse than the gem, and you put that in front of people, more people are going to see it, but you're not going to get the same amount of conversions. So when I first started on Upwork, the first thing I did was I fully built out my profile, right? And by fully built out, I mean figure out what I was selling. So in my case, it was Klaviyo email and SMS marketing. Klaviyo is the software that I use. And I created a profile in a way that would speak exactly to people who wanted to do who would be um, interested in hiring for Klaviyo SMS and email marketing. And so I just made my profile super dialed in from a description perspective. I highlighted my expertise, highlighted the results that I can get, and then I also fully built it out with like uh, portfolios, case studies, all that stuff. In terms of the social proof for the site, like I know some of us who are just starting here and probably just starting with the work might not have that social proof, because when you're first starting, you're like, okay, um, how do I you don't have any examples to share people. That's fine. Whatever you're doing, just I think the biggest thing you can do for your profile is, yep, get a good photo. First of all, make sure you have like a good photo for your profile. Have like a profile description that's fully built out, but also recording video and putting it on YouTube and having links to that in your profile is such a massive unlock. So what I did is I just dialed out the profile, right? Have those videos. I recommend, if you have like, you can literally hire a video editor for about 50 bucks to like edit like 2 or 3 YouTube videos for you, 50 bucks per video. And if you record a video talking about what you do, how you do it, and like just demonstrating some level of skill, the exponential gain that you're going to get from getting behind a video camera like this is going to do more than any case study document or any profile that you can kind of dial in from a description perspective. Highly recommend getting like a video in there and then linking that. So once the profile was fully dialed in, and then obviously, for Upwork, you have to also create like an agency profile. Honestly, my agency profile and or rather for GigRadar, my agency profile and my freelancer profile are very similar. But you really need to pay a lot of attention to the freelancer one because that's one that people are seeing. So once my profile was fully built out, and it might even be worth sharing my screen. Is that something I can do? Corlin, just to kind of give like an indication here.
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead and share the profile first.
Mhm.
So just so you guys know that I'm not lying here, there's $100,000 plus in total earnings. And this is what I mean by like a profile that's like dialed in, right? In terms of its description. I've got a customer review. I've got my focus, how I work, proficiency, everything that I do. And then obviously we have these things here, my portfolio. And when I say like videos, you can kind of see that we have obviously guides and everything like that. Uh, and here you go. It's like a video and it's fully edited. I mean, this is showing up as low resolution right now because it's on Upwork, but you get the idea. Having video and just the social proof that having like a video on your profile builds and the trust that it's able to build is second to none. And this probably dovetails into a larger conversation around whether or not you should have like a YouTube channel or if it's worth investing in like creating video content just as in any business. 100% it is. Just to sidetrack a little bit, I have a YouTube channel for my email marketing. We have 1,000 subscribers, and just off of that, we're getting about 3 calls per week. So it's a tiny channel that generates about 3 calls per week. So having those YouTube videos done and having them displayed here is going to be a massive unlock, and it's really, really going to help you. So the profile, make sure that's fully dialed in, fill in everything that you can, right? Go ahead and fill in, your university degrees, your keywords, all that kind of stuff. And it's really going to help you when you do bid for those jobs, just position yourself in a better place, right? Now, these badges and the job success and the top rated plus, that will come the more you work, right? And so you need to essentially gradually build up like a portfolio of actual clients, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But that'll come after a while. Now, to those questions in the chat, and I'll go on to like how I structure from a pricing perspective. Um, should we go into those now, Corlin?
Yeah, sure. Okay. The first question is from Roxandra. Do you use Connect as part of the strategy? So the tool plus Connect or just the tool because it works?
So the tool uses connects so the tool is using connects to bid on jobs, right? So you will need to use the tool and you will also need to, get connects, right? So the tool is intrinsically linked to the connect functionality. It's auto bidding on jobs and using connects on like a regular basis. So, Ruxandra, you said my profile is very mature, 500K in revenue with 120K yearly now. I just freelance. I can't risk it. Not bragging. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like uh, I haven't had any issues. Like, and I totally understand from like the risk front, but I haven't had any issues. And I think the good thing here is it's not actually your profile that's doing the bidding. It's a business manager profile that is set up. So if there is any issues, which in the last 2 years I haven't had anything, it's related to the business manager rather than the actual freelancer profile. Is that correct, Roland?
So she is also a sole freelancer. Her niche is WordPress development. How can GigRadar help me and how much does it cost? Okay, regarding the pricing, I suggest you to book a call with our team because everything calculates individually depending on what your goals are and from your needs. So,
Yeah.
so any suggestions for WordPress development? How can
Yeah,
GigRadar
listen, I
help that
think
way?
I think like wherever there's enough like jobs being posted, so if there's enough traffic in terms of new jobs being posted on GigRadar, you're gonna find like a viable opportunity to use, rather on Upwork, you're gonna find a viable opportunity to use GigRadar to get these jobs. Once again, like get on the sales team. By the way, guys, I don't work for GigRadar. I just use the tool. But like I would recommend just getting on the call, and they'll probably be able to give you like an idea of what the TAM is, the total addressable market. And from there, you can see like, okay, like, if we're bidding on XYZ amount of jobs on a weekly basis, and we can expect XYZ amount of calls booked, what's the results that we're going to get. But 100% for WordPress development, there'll be so much there. I mean, it's really when you start getting into like these really, really niche areas that the amount of jobs that you're going to be able to find gets a little more nuanced and harder, right? So think like very unique softwares. It's why for me, I pitch myself as like an email marketer specializing in Klaviyo because that allows me to work with one specific software, but also broadens my opportunities out to email and SMS marketing as a whole. And for those of you who are familiar with email marketing, that means I'm probably going to be using softwares like MailChimp, Shopify, Omnisend, all sorts of other tools. It just allows me to kind of use that as a side as well. So the thing that like is so I'm speaking about how to make like the most out of GigRadar at the moment. The first thing you're gonna have to focus on is yes, making sure your profile is fully dialed in. But when you're first starting on Upwork, one of the most important things too is you have to realize that that you need to pitch your price appropriately to where you sit on Upwork, not according to what your worth is outside of Upwork. And what I mean by that is one of the biggest things that's going to help you get new clients is social proof. And when you first start on Upwork, or you're in the early days, you're under 10K, under 20K in earnings, you don't have that social proof. You don't have past projects or reviews from people to convince them to sign with you. And so you need to supplement that lack of social proof for fees, or rather, how much you charge. And so you're essentially going to be charging a lower rate on Upwork, at least at the start, to what you're worth off of Upwork. So just to give you some context, right? When I first started on Upwork and I first started running GigRadar, I was charging $10 an hour for my services. My rate off of Upwork is $250 an hour, but I wasn't going to charge $250 on Upwork as somebody with zero reviews, zero social proof. It doesn't make any sense, right? I wasn't going to get any work. And why would they? They're like, okay, hold on. Like I can hire the guy over here for 30 bucks an hour who has $50,000 in earnings and, 25-star reviews, or I can hire Gavin who's been here for a month for 250. It doesn't make any sense, right? And so what you're going to have to do, at least in the first, like I think 3 months, so that first billing cycle of using GigRadar, you have to charge below what you're worth on outside of Upwork. And the way that I look at this though is that, yep, you're going to be working for less than what you're worth when you get those initial jobs, but you're investing in like almost like search engine optimization or SEO or building like a traffic source. You're investing in something. Um, in a way that allows you to just build up your social proof, build up case studies, so that in the future, you're more likely to show up in the Discover page, more likely to get organic inbound leads instead of just outbound leads. And David and Ashok, I see your questions, so I'm kind of trying to like cater my answers to what you guys are saying here. Um, but you're essentially like investing in a way to get organic traffic and boost where you sit within Upwork's algorithm. And as you continue to build up social proof and get more earnings from within Upwork, you can gradually start increasing your price. And so my approach was always every $5,000 I make in Upwork, I increase my hourly rate by $10 an hour or $5 an hour, sorry. So I'd go from 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, up until I found that I wasn't getting deals because I was too expensive. I actually found that my highest hourly rate that I could charge on Upwork was $60 an hour. Now, I'll explain this in a second. That doesn't mean like my fees, I was only ever able to make $60 an hour. I was able to charge, I'll explain that in a second. But basically, you're going to find that sweet spot of like, okay, the market is telling me I can't charge anymore because I'm not getting any more calls. I need to lower my price a little bit, and that's where I'm going to sit. What you're going to find as you gradually increase your hourly rate is when you're getting on calls with clients, you'll be able to position yourself a little differently. You'll be able to say, hey, normally this would take me 70 hours. And at $50 an hour, that's going to be $3,500, right? But if you wanted, I could do it for a project-based fee at a reduced rate. And that's how you dovetail, or rather create project-based work that generates you more money, especially if you have a team. So while I'm charging on my profile right now, I think my profile is set to $50 an hour. I'm telling the client what my total time for a project is going to be, both my time as well as my team's time. So if they want us to do like active campaign management, typically I would charge a retainer of about $3,000 per month. Okay. So I would tell the client, hey, for me to do all this work at $50 an hour, it's going to take me about 70 hours, which is going to be $3,500 at my hourly rate. However, we could do it for a cheaper rate if you just want to do it at a fixed project rate of $3,000 per hour. And that's how you're able to then, once you exceed a certain hourly rate, position project-based work as a more affordable option for the client. But basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to build up your profile, build up your social proof on the platform, and then also play with the algorithm. Because while you're also trying to please people who are on the site and seeing, like, okay, is this guy good? Does he have reviews? You're also trying to convince the algorithm that you're worthy of them sending you more clients and more work. And so to play with the algorithm, how I've kind of like seen it is when you first start on Upwork, Upwork doesn't really care about how much money you're making them. They just want to see if you can do the job, right? Like, can you actually complete work and get a good review from a client? If you can do that a couple of times, they gradually, the more and more you do it, they gradually start caring more about how much money you're making them, which is what percentage they can take from what you sell, right? And so they take, I think it's like 10% for me, 10% of what I bill on Upwork. So if I'm able to make them more money, meaning I can charge a higher hourly rate and get the same amount of clients, they're going to keep sending me more clients to generate more money from them, which means they're going to put me further up in the organic search. That's how you do pricing. Does that make sense to everybody? And if not, check it in the questions and more than happy to run through that.
Go with the questions. The first one from Marshall. Any suggestions to get daily invitations to interview from customers on Upwork?
Sure. So I think like this is largely going to come down to an optimized profile, of course, but you're also having to play with that algorithm, kind of what I was saying before, right? Which was make sure that you have uh, basically a profile that is proving to Upwork that you're able to complete work properly, get high client satisfaction, which is why getting reviews from clients, past clients, and getting past reviews and, basically those 5-star ratings is so important because while that will display publicly, that's a benefit. It also shows Upwork that you are worth being put in front of other people. And that's how you get those invitations because, yeah, basically those invitations come from somebody clicking invite freelancer and then Upwork suggesting people to you. And so you just need to convince Upwork that you are worthwhile being recommended. And that comes from client satisfaction, but also proving to Upwork that you can make them money. Because ultimately, that's what they really care about. By the way, like Upwork doesn't really care about us. Like they care about the client. So like, like regardless of whether or not we're satisfied with the client, like this is the thing. It's like when we're giving reviews, how you can give reviews after you complete a job? I always just give 5-star ratings to the client because Upwork is always going to prioritize people who are paying money to them rather than people who are earning money on their platform. So just keep that in mind.
And also you should be good at selling, right?
Yes. So yeah, I mean that's a whole other conversation too, and I can go into like how I structure my sales calls and everything. First things first, when you get on sales calls, the easiest thing I see people mess up is make sure your camera's on. Like don't have your camera off when you're getting on these sales calls. It's like the stupidest thing I see. This, like obviously if your camera's off here, it's totally fine. But like if you're on a sales call, you're playing a game of trust, right? You're trying to convince the person on the call that they can trust you with their project, that you can do it properly, and that you're going to do it well, and that it just aligns with their budget, right? If you're not willing to show your face, like, that trust is just out the window. They're never going to trust you. And this is why I recommend doing YouTube videos and recording video content, because if you're actually, hey, this is what I do, this is how I do it, lovely to meet you, that's going to build way more trust than any written, I do XYZ in XYZ time. Being sociable, having your camera on, and then making sure that you're playing a game of trust. And so whatever you can do to build that trust, right? Like demonstration of expertise, guarantees if you want to do that, all that kind of stuff.
Insights. Thank you. David, do you see using GigRadar as bidding automation to save time or to having it over other freelancers?
It's both. I mean, first of all, it's save time. Like I said at the start, like I don't have. I mean, we got 10 full-time employees. I don't have time to write out these like automations on a manual basis. It's just not a good use of my time. So first of all, yes, bidding automation to save time, right? And here's the thing, if we're competing against other people on Upwork and I'm able to bid on a job with a proposal that is written by AI that sounds like it's written by me and that's customized to the individual's customer's needs. And I can do that in 15 minutes compared to all the other competition out there. Who do you think is going to win? Right? It's going to be me. And like, what's going to happen is you're going to find more and more people. Like, I think it's really just a waiting game, right? Like, because more and more people are going to be using this tool. Like, I've got a bunch of my friends who are using GigRadar right now, and like, it's just going to make the market like more and more competitive as time goes on. So the earlier you can get in on this, and the earlier that you can like build up your profile and build up your social proof and get those initial clients, the more you're going to be set for success in the future. For example, like when I started 2 years ago, there weren't really many people using GigRadar, and there was no one really using it in the email and SMS marketing space. And so, like, I crushed it, right? Like, I got so many clients super early on, and I was able to build up my profile super quick. Now, if somebody wanted to do the same, it would be a little harder because I'm already using the tool. And now you're going to be using the same tool, and you're probably going to have to charge a lower rate for even longer than I did because it's going to take you longer to build up that social proof. And it's only going to get harder. Like GigRadar is signing a lot of clients. It's just going to get more and more competitive. So, like, I know for a fact that there's like 10 people in the email and SMS marketing agency space that I've told to use the tool, and we're all using it. We're all competing against each other now. I'm still winning because I built up the social proof over years and like I'm top rated plus now. But like if you didn't do this before, it's just going to get harder and harder to implement in the future. So I mean, I don't want to be like start now, but it's the way that it's going.
And also, if you do email and SMS marketing, just remember that you're going to compete with Gavin as well on
Yes,
Upwork.
let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, when it comes to automation, it is just, I mean, when browsing the Upwork job fit, it is just humanly impossible to scan this amount of jobs. So,
Yeah.
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 Okay, great. Kritika, I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. When you suggest lower project-based pricing instead of hourly, do clients not raise eyebrows as to why the same work will cost low done on the same platform by the same person?
Great question, right? And so it depends on how you phrase the value adds to the client. So what you want to say here is that, hey, I'm willing to do a project-based fee for a discounted rate because it means I'll get more money up front, right? Like I'll get 50% up front. As opposed to, me working 10 hours this week, 10 hours the next week, so on and so forth. So if you're able to phrase it in a way to the client where it's like, hey, like instead of 3,500 for me spread out over like 6 months on an hourly basis, I'd much rather do 3,000 whereby I collect 1,500 cash upfront and then 50% upon completion, right? And that actually frames it to the client like, yeah, that makes sense. And it does make sense because with business, like if you really boil business down, it's about how much cash you can collect up front and how long you can delay outgoing expenses for. And so for me as a business owner, $1,500 today is worth more than, $2,000 in 2 months because I'm able to take that 1,500, invest it in my business and continue growing. And that's why like the fundamental of like cash collected up front is more valuable than cash collected later. Right. And so what you're trying to do, if you can explain that to the client in an easy way, which I would just say like, hey, it just means I have more cash up front and it allows me to continue paying my team rather than me collecting $100, 300, 400. You know what I mean? And then that makes sense to the client. That's how I phrase it.
Thank you. Dmitro, could you please explain why you propose fixed price product compared to hourly? I do not understand the idea.
Yeah, I might have just gone over it there. But ultimately, it's because you're collecting more cash upfront. You're just getting more money in the bank. Um, Also, just from like a labor perspective, like having to manually log your hours every single day, compared to just being like, yo, dude, I'm just gonna do this for 3K, and no need to track my hours. It's so much easier. I've got hourly contracts, I do. It sucks, especially because there's times when I've got like 12 clients that I'm working with simultaneously, and I've done it for hourly. And it gets really confusing, like logging your hours, because you're having to find spots to log your hours to not overlap with old hourly jobs. Because, like, if you're working hourly, you have to log your time, right? You have to say, I worked from 12 to 1. Okay. You can't, and you say that for like client X, you can't say I worked 12 to 1 for client Y, right? And so what ends up happening is if you're working for like a bunch of different clients and you're logging your team's hours, not just yours, right? Like my designer did 5 hours on this today, you actually run out of hourly time slots to fill stuff in on Upwork. And it becomes like super suspicious. And the client starts to question things. They're like, okay, hold on, I'm confused. You work from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m.? It doesn't make any sense. Like, well, that was the only available time slot I had to allocate an hourly time. It's just project based is so much easier. It's just a better route to go.
Thank you. So I think no more questions for now.
Cool.
So
Cool.
would you like to move forward on sales tactics maybe? Because
Totally.
this is actually what I get like on a regular basis in our community. Most of the freelancers that DM me, they say that they struggle in this stage when it comes to closing deals. And I
Yeah.
mean, what's the point of getting unlimited clients if you're not able to close them?
Totally. So the first thing I'm gonna say here, and it kind of sucks because it's like the way that the world works, but your command of the English language is gonna help you so much more than any sales tactic I have, right? And like just having like being able to communicate clearly is really gonna help. And then that's like a massive thing, right? The biggest hack outside of that I have found when closing my clients, and I made a YouTube video about this. I think I'd actually, Corlin, if it's possible, would I be able to link that video in the chat this year? But I'll give you guys a live demonstration of how this works too. And I know we've got to jump in 13 minutes, but it won't take me
Yeah.
that long. But the biggest thing you guys can do is not explain how your service works, but instead demonstrate to people how the service works. And I'm going to show you. Yes, here's my video. God, okay, here we go. I'm going to send this video in the chat. Check this out. But let me give you a live example of what I mean here. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, can you guys see that there?
Yep. All good.
Cool. So I run an email and SMS marketing agency. And typically, when we do email and SMS marketing, my process involves creating campaigns and creating automations. Rather than actually telling people how stuff works and what we're going to do and how it's all going to happen, I literally create a document that's custom built for them like this. Now, if you're a WordPress developer, or if you're in any sort of marketing, or if you're in any kind of, if you're in any type of service, if you're able to create a visual document using a tool like Miro to live demonstrate how you're going to work with the client, it's going to make it so much easier for that client to trust. And there's that thing again, right? Trust that you know what you're doing and for them to understand how the work is going to be done. And that makes it so much easier to close them. So I'm going to assume we're on a sales call right now. And I'm going to assume that you wanted to come to me and you wanted to buy some automations from me. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, okay, fantastic. So you want to buy some automations. Let me actually just show you how I work, how my approach to email automations looks like, and how we're going to stagger out the work. I'll then literally share my screen and I'll say, hey, can you see this board here? And they'll be like, yes, Gavin, I can see that board. I'm like, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this board. I'll be like, we'll call this GigRadar example. And I'll be like, all right, so let me show you how we can potentially work together here. So this is going to be your board. I'm going to send you this board after the call. So we're role playing here. I'm going to send you this board after the call. But let me show you how I would recommend your business like build out the automations. Every business needs like a welcome series. So I recommend we have this welcome series built out here. And here's the sequence that I recommend having. Now, if we decide to work together, we'll customize this a lot more. But this is just what I think we should have. I also think we should have some sign up forms, an abandoned cart, and abandoned checkout. Now, if you told me your budget was $1,500 or $2,000, we can actually stagger this workout in 2 month or monthly increments. So in the first month, I recommend we build out this work here. And what I'm doing is I'm literally showing them what they're going to get. This is what you're going to get. And we're doing it together. It's really important that you work on it together in that sales call because when you do that, it makes the client feel like they're already started working with you. They're already bought in and they already have a customized roadmap to their business. You are already working with them. And so for the client to say, hey, I don't want to work together, they lose all this work. They've already wasted their time. So you're trying to get them to buy in here and you're trying to show them how you're going to help them visually. So then I'll say, okay, month one, this is what we're going to do. Month two, we're going to divide the work a little bit more and we're going to build a post-purchase thank you flow and a browse abandon flow. And then the final month, we'll do this, right? And what I've essentially done here is I've gone like, all right, here we go. And see, I'm going to say this is month one, month one. Cool. And here's month two. And I haven't, you'll notice here, like a lot of these salespeople say, like, hey, create like a pitch document and stuff like that. I haven't created a pitch document in months, right? And I'm on calls like all the time. And this has just proven so much more effective. Where instead of a pitch document, I just show them what we're going to do. And I say, here's month two, here's month three. Cool. This is what I recommend we do. And this is going to take us this amount of time. This is what's going to cost. Do you have any questions here? Like, yeah, how does this work? And I'll be like, yeah, let me show you. We'll customize this a little bit more. We'll move this here, move this over here. That has been the biggest hack that I've had for running my business. I do this for both on Upwork. I do this for clients they get off of YouTube. It works so much better than just trying to explain what we're going to do. And obviously, like in these sales calls, by the way, spend the first 10 minutes not talking. And I know that's ironic coming from me right now, but like just listen to what they have to say even if you know the answers, right? Even if you know what needs to be done, just listen. They want to feel like you understand and you feel heard. Then once you've listened and gotten everything, then you can be like, let's create a custom solution. And then you create like a document like this and show them how it's done.
Oh, that was incredible. Thank you so much, Gavin.
All good.
That was clear, practical, and super generous. There is one question pop up here. What's your approach to making the autobidder prompts lead to more replies? Mine are currently around 5% reply rate. I'm a Squarespace web designer currently at 10K plus earnings.
Yeah. You want
Good
to see
stuff,
my hack for
Gavin,
this? I'll
from Anthony.
here's my thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. You're gonna make me blush. Um, this, you want to see the funniest hack that makes this thing like the it's so funny how easy this is that nobody does this. Let me show you what my outreach looks like. Give me a second here. I'm just gonna find an example. Um, it's so funny how easy this is. Uh, look at this. Thank you on the presentation act, but this is all I say in my pitches. I just go, "Hello, I recently completed a very similar project. Can I share a Loom with some ideas for your project?" That's literally all I say. And I get like I think I get like a 22% reply rate. Um, I mean, you can see all my messages here, right? Like, you know. So like, yeah, I just do that. I just say, "Hey, can I send you a Loom?" And if they say yes, I then record a Loom, right? Look, I go like, "Here's my Loom," and then I show here's some other resources, design, YouTube channel, case study, and flows. All right. That's all I do. I mean, I think you can probably see it in most of these here. It's always the same. I was invited to this one, but you get the idea. I don't even know here. Let me see if I can find another example. But they're always that. It's just like, hey, can I send you a, yeah, you can see I get like invited to a lot of stuff. So I'm not actually sure here where this is all coming from. Oh, God, they're all invites. But yes, that's all I say. I just say, hey, can I send you a Loom? I'm trying to find, yeah, look, I recently completed a very similar project. Can I share a Loom with some ideas for your project? 20, I get a 22% response rate just off of that. Just that. I don't have like big long things, you know.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And do you think you get more replies because you have high earnings though?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think it's definitely part of it. But I was getting 15 to 20% off the back of that when I first started actually. So no, it was always that. I think I definitely get more reply rates now, 100%. Um, because of that, because of my social proof, because of like the built out profile and everything like that, 100%. Um, yeah, I think so. I think it's a part of it. But also, if you guys can find a way to set your location to the US, I don't know how you're going to do that, but there's ways to do it. Just you might have to think a little bit outside the box there in terms of your location. But by doing that, you're going to allow you to charge more, get access to better clients, so on and so forth. Cool.
Great. Thank you, Shahid. Any guidance of developing the Miro board for the customized development agency as the services are not curated into a single package?
So, the thing that you need to you're actually gonna have to create variations of this Miro board depending on what the client wants. Um, Honestly, when it comes to creating that Miro board and developing a customized development agency, I'm not too sure what a customized development agency is, but um, I would literally rather than like you just need to it doesn't need to be complex. It can just be like little squares where you're like, we're gonna do this, this, this. Um, and yeah, that's like it doesn't need to be like a complex thing. The reason mine's so complex is because I sell that as like a digital product, so I need to make it valuable, and then it just makes a lot more sense when I get on presentations with people. But like I also have documents for campaigns. I also have documents for cold email strategies. The it's funnily enough, like the content isn't so much about what you're trying to sell in that thing. You're just trying to highlight a process. And if you can clearly highlight a process with imagery, you're good.
Thank you. Uh, JB, have you used same type of proposal during initial days when your earnings are in 10K to 20K range?
Yes, that's exactly what I used. I haven't
Mhm.
changed it in like 2 years. That's exactly
Wow.
what I used. Um, yeah, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. I experimented before with like, I can do this and increase your conversion rate by XYZ% using my unique strategy. Yeah, just do the Loom. And also like the best investment you're going to make if you are doing the Loom strategy, which I recommend you do, um, good camera, good microphone. Like at the end of the day, just think about this like trust. They need to trust that you're an expert. Everything you can do to position yourself as an expert, like this microphone here, it's the exact same quality as my microphone on my computer. But the fact that it's sitting on here just makes me look more important. It's literally it. It's all perception, right? I know it sounds silly and funny, but you're just trying to build up trust that you come across as professional. So dress nicely, um, and so all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Did you say your proposal was just saying I can share a Loom? If yes, that's mind blowing.
That's it. That's it. That's all I do. It's people overcomplicate this stuff, and it's like, because here's the thing: everyone's like when everyone's going one way, you have to go a different way, right? Like, and listen, if I could though, I would send custom looms every single time. But God, it takes so much time to do that. I only want to send looms to people who like reply to my stuff. But yeah, the loom. And then when you record those looms, make sure they're to the individual. So like when I record my loom, right? And they like, yeah, can you send me a loom? I'll be like, yeah, cool. I'll hit record, and then I'll actually show them their job posting, and I'll be like, hi there, Dimitri. Just so you know, here's your job posting to show you this is actually a unique loom for you. Also, by the way, on your leads, anybody who responds to you, put them in a tracker and follow up 4 times. Okay? Follow up 4 times. If they don't respond after the fourth, don't bother. This is, I know we've got time, but this is like super important. This is really, really important that you guys need to see. So hold on. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? I'm going to assume yes. These are all
Yep.
of the Upwork leads that I've ever contacted. Okay. Every single person is in this Asana board. Okay. Every single person. And every single day, okay, I come back in and I check who is not ticked and I follow up with them. So look at this. Callum. Okay. He responded to my proposal. And now I'm in the process of following up with him, right? Like he goes, hey there, I recently completed a very similar project. Ready, ready, rah. Callum, thanks for interested in the job. Great to hear. I told him my price, and then he hasn't responded yet. So I follow up 4 times, and if he doesn't respond on the final one, so every day I go like 1, 2, 3, right? You can see one, I've created the task, 2, 3. On the fourth one, I'll send this message. I'll say, should I stop contacting you? Kept contacting you. And I just go there, send that. That gets like a good response rate, by the way, just saying that. But after the fourth one, I get a lot more work than most people because I follow up and then I track them here. And at the moment, since I'm in e-commerce and it's Black Friday, I'm actually going through every single one of my old leads and sending them follow-up messages as well, which is what I do every single day. I send like 10 old leads a message as well. Yeah. Now I know I've got some other questions, so let's go through these really quickly. What do we got?
Yeah, we have only 3-4 minutes left, so let's
Cool.
get through those questions very quickly. How can you be reached for a consultation?
Yes, Raphael, I will send my LinkedIn in the chat now. Give me a second here. And you can just shoot me a connection and we can have a chat from there. Would love to talk
Mhm.
to you.
Great.
Um, cool.
And rule, what do you usually do when your GSS is just 23 to improve it to get 100%?
Job success score. Okay, yeah. So thank you, Maria. Um, I mean, obviously, like you need to make sure you're completing jobs properly. If you're at 93 right now, you just need to complete more jobs and get them done properly. Eventually, that score, assuming you continuously get top ratings, the time lapse will kick out the bad jobs. So you just need to keep chipping away at it, chipping away at it. I think my job success score is 98. It's very hard to get 100, very hard. And if you're doing more work and you're doing, in which you should be getting if you're using GigRadar properly, it's going to be hard to get to 100%. I think Upwork really kind of cares if you're like past 95. I think it's all the same. Don't quote me on that. But like I've been at 95 and I've been at 90 before. I've been at 89 before. Um, and I only really noticed the difference. I didn't notice any difference after that 95 point.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, then, Gavin. I just enjoy listening to you. It was very incredible. Thank you. And I also recommend you guys to subscribe to Gavin's YouTube channel. great content. I'm sure you will definitely take away some nuggets. And yeah, I really appreciate Gavin your sharing your mindset and language. And I'm sure that many of our today's attendees they will start applying all of the set right away. So everyone, let's drop some thanks to Gavin in the chat. That was really awesome.
Cool. And Sachin, I'm gonna
Yeah.
link it right now. Give me a second, dude. Give me a sec.
Yep.
Uh, Here, you're a viewer now. Here's the public link. That's for you, dude. All I ask is you subscribe to my YouTube channel. There you go. Nice.
Great. Thank you very much. And here Maria says, come again. Will you?
Cool. Alrighty, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys again. Thank you, Gavin, for taking the time. We highly
All
appreciate
good.
that. Yeah. Have a nice day. Bye.